Okay, just waiting on the moderators to confirm. And the admin has approved me. Wonderful. Well, once again, welcome, ladies and gents, to the Socially Distant Fest. My name is Calum Lykan. I am a Scottish storyteller. Most of you have potentially seen me or watched one of my stories, hopefully by now. But before we get into the story, the first thing that I always do is just let everyone know, this is a wonderful performance platform for performers and for people to enjoy the performances. And we all do have tip jars. And I appreciate that everyone's kind of in the same boat at the moment. But if you are enjoying any of the performances, the stories, the songs, the whatever else, I think there's contortionists or something like that out there, do think about giving a little something to the performers, just to kind of let us know that basically we are loved. And I am just making sure everything as I'm chatting away to you is tickety boo and working away. Just seeing, don't know if anyone's actually following yet. Let me just, let's try that. Okay, excellent, folks. So, my name is Calum Lykan, and when we're talking about the donations, there's a few other options out there, guys. The admins who are actually organizing this event, there's PayPal, not PayPal, a Patreon account that they have. There is a tip jar for them as well, because those guys are working really hard. And basically, it's always nice to support them. I'm just, sorry, I'm trying to get something sorted here. It doesn't look like I've got comments working at the moment. So I'm just trying to see if anyone's actually on, because I'm not getting any feedback. Just to double check, can everyone hear me okay? If anyone is watching, can you hear me? Just give me a yes or a no in my comments, just to let me know that somebody is there and alive. I think everything is on a massive delay tonight. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of just shoot on. If you do enjoy the stories that I tell, and you do donate over $15, one thing that I am letting everyone know is I have this beautiful thing here. This is my Scottish bedtime stories. Once the camera actually decides to focus, it's not going to focus tonight. It's been awkward. There we go. Scottish bedtime stories. Calum Lykan's Scottish bedtime stories, a collection of gruesome and grisly Scottish tales. And if you donate over $15 into my tip jar, you basically get a copy of that. So just make sure your email is attached there, and I will send that to you. It's not for marketing or anything else, just purely so I can get you a copy of that sent off. Elizabeth, thank you. You can hear me. I'm jumping between two systems, and for once, my streaming system is now acknowledging comments. That is lovely. So I don't need to move on to the Facebook one. I can work on this. Lovely. So, ladies and gents, tonight's just going to be a wee quick story. And this is a story, actually, that I love because it is one of those reminders of how much stories travel. Because I was very fortunate a while ago to be invited down to California a while ago. We're now probably going over 5-6 years. And I was doing a storytelling event down there, and I told this story. And I got the fright of my life when somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, wow, that's like a First Nations story." And of course, I was so embarrassed because I was like, but it's not, because, in storytelling, we try and not take other cultural tales away from the tellers. And it was really interesting. We sat down and chatted, and it was actually discovered it is a Scottish story, and it seems to originate over here, and there's a blending of the two stories. So it's really cool that stories travel so much. But this is just a very quick story this evening, and it's called The First Star. And it starts with the clans, the tribes, and they are living a perfect life. Because when the sun is high in the heavens, they're able to hunt, they're able to play and sing and tell stories, they're able to go fishing and live a happy and playful life. In fact, when the sun is high in the heavens, life is just beautiful. It is the greatest thing ever. Well, life is wonderful until, of course, that sun starts to slowly dip in the heavens. And then the world is plunged into darkness. There is not anything to light the night sky. And then the world is a fearful place. The clans, the tribes, they live in misery. They huddle in their huts and their shelters. They hear those same wild beasts that they hunted prowling round the outside looking for a way in. It's dark, it's cold, they can't see anything, and they are filled with fear. And this is their life. This is how it continues for many weeks, for many months, for many years, until eventually they can take it no longer. And they decide they need to go and speak to the Creator. They decide they need to get this resolved. So they take the long journey through the wilderness, searching until eventually they find the Creator. And they look upon him and they say, we need your help. We need your advice. You see, by day, the world is beautiful. We get to play for family. We get to hunt the beasts of the earth, the air, and the sea. We get to sing and dance, and we get to be happy. Life is filled with love and joy. But then at night, when the sun goes down, it changes. We're terrified. We live in fear. We hear the wild beasts scraping at the walls, trying to get in, and we live in fear until the sun comes up once more. Please, please, can you help us? For the night is so dark. Well, the Creator sat and thought long and hard. And then eventually it came to him. He looked at all the clans, all the tribes, and said, I have the solution. Grab your baskets, head down to the river, and in the river you will find pebbles of the purest white. Gather them all. Gather them in your baskets and make sure you miss not one. And when you have gathered them, bring them back to me. And now, during the day, they had purpose. They took their baskets down to the river and they collected the pebbles one by one, filling up their baskets until eventually there was not one pebble left in the river. And once they had done that, they carried them back to the Creator, who looked and smiled. He was so happy at the work they had done. And then he reached down and he plucked one of those pebbles and stared at it. And then he placed it high in the heavens. And he says, these pebbles we will now call stars. And this star that I have placed is the first star, or the one that we call the North Star. Then he looked at all the clans and tribes and says, now take these baskets, take these pebbles and paint the heavens. Paint them with images of the beasts of the air, the earth and the sea. Paint them with images of play and love. Paint them with your kith and kin. Paint the heavens with love. And that's what they did. Now the tribes and the clans, they had purpose. They went out and they painted the heavens day and night. They painted them with images of beasts and their family and great creatures. And all of a sudden the night started to shine. But as the Creator watched, he realized that it was such a terribly heavy burden he had placed upon them. So he sat back and thought and realized that they would need help to carry the burden of the baskets. So he called upon the creatures of the earth, and one answered, the only one who felt he could do the job. And that was Wolf. Haughty, arrogant, confident Wolf came to the crater and said, you need no one else but me. I am the beast to help with this burden. And then Wolf, every day, went out with the clans, carrying the heavy baskets and allowing them to paint the heavens. But as the days ticked by and turned into weeks, Wolf started to get a wee bit frustrated. You see, he was the one carrying the heavy burden, and yet these creatures were so slow. The work was going terribly, awfully slow. And Wolf started to get a wee bit annoyed, so he made a few suggestions in his rather rough tones. And the people, the clans, became a little bit unsure of Wolf as he growled his comments. And as the days ticked by and ticked by, the Wolf with that heavy burden became even more frustrated at the slowness. So Wolf started to snarl and bark a few ideas of how they could work a little bit faster. And the clans became a little bit fearful of Wolf. And as the days ticked by and Wolf grew angry and his rage built up, he started to growl and snarl and snap at their heels, trying to get them to speed up. And now the clans became terrified of Wolf, and work all but stopped. And Wolf's anger grew at this and his frustration. How can they be going so slow when I am carrying the burden? And one day it snapped, he could take it no more. And one day he grabbed the baskets and with a mighty roar, tossed all the pebbles into the heavens, scattering the stars far and wide. And Wolf looked up with a toothy grin as he stared at the work he'd done, the stramash of stars that he had created, and he smiled because he had done this. Only Wolf was capable of doing this. But all of a sudden, his smile changed as he desperately looked about the heavens, and he realized too quickly his mistake. You see, in his anger, in his frustration, he'd thrown the baskets and the stars to the heavens, but he had yet to paint his own image up there. And as he desperately stared around looking for a semblance of his image, he realized all too late it was not there. And the pain filled his heart, and he opened his mouth and released a mournful cry into the night sky. And ladies and gentlemen, that cry has travelled down throughout the generations. Wolf, coyote, dingo, your own domestic dogs. For years, when the stars were out and the moon was high in the heavens, we thought that your dogs, we thought the animals were going out and howling at their mistress high in the night sky. But really, it's because when they go out and they look up into that beautiful night sky, a sadness fills their hearts. Because as they stare at the beautiful stars, they know that they will never ever find their image in the night sky. And because of that sadness, we get another beauty, that beautiful, mournful cry filling the night sky when the stars are out. And that is because of Wolf's mistake. And that is the story of the first star. A story which I really love because of the traveling, the fact that it's told in different countries. The First Nation is coyote. For some reason, Scotland uses wolf. We once had wolves. But I also like that story simply because no matter where you are in the world, they are a constant. The stars. I'm about 4,000 miles away from where I was born. And I know that every night when it's a clear night, I can go and look at the stars and always know that they're there. It's reassuring. It's something we can always rely on. They may be in a slightly different position from what I'm used to, but they're always there, always a constant, and always with those beautiful images painted up in the sky. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gents, thank you very much for listening to the story. I hope you enjoyed that. I don't know how many people were actually listening because I'm not getting any comments tonight, which is unusual, but you know, it does happen. If you did enjoy the story, do bear in mind there is options to tip me there in the description and also scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And if you do donate over $15, you do get a free download card for Scottish bedtime stories, which are gruesome, grisly stories, not for the faint of heart, and definitely not for the younglings. So thank you very much, and I will see you on the Socially Distant Fest tomorrow, folks. Enjoy your evening.